essay. Same song, different verse. Lee Company, Titans Talkback. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson with you until 6:30. We will walk you up to Sunday Night Football. Westwood One coverage of the Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans coming up at 6:30. Stay tuned for that. If you want in, your chance to vent, 615-737-1045. Titans lose again, 24-17. Again, same song, different verse. Dr. Dyson, what's up?
Was that how that old song back in the late 90s, early 2000s? Something same song. What was that?
Same song, different dance.
Yeah,
there's another one.
You know me, I'm going to start with a positive.
Bring it. Let's go.
Positively,
all right.
They did play better collectively, more than they did, especially the second half against the Bears. All right? Now, I'm going to leave it there. Aside from the defense, which we'll get into.
Wait. You wanted to go down a positive path. You're going to leave it there?
That was about it. Defensively, I thought they were competitive again, getting after the quarterback. They're running on this defense. You're going to have to earn every yard you get. They're showing that. Secondary play, they missed a few plays, but they're still competing a lot different than what we have seen the last few years. But it's, to your point, different day, same song. Miscues, block punts, interceptions, laterals, they fumbles, stuff like that.
What the hell?
Yeah, that are costly.
To me, it's still something from Don. Maybe same Shiano, different day.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
There you go.
There you go. But
Cali was hot after that one. Look, man, we talked about this all week, and you come out here and do it again?
Yeah, do the same thing.
Brian Callahan was all of us in the room here when we were watching that play. We said the same. Me, Jackson, Lucas all said the same exact thing.
But, Dice, you talk from a player perspective, okay, you make a mistake, let's correct it. Yeah. Don't do it again. If you do it again, I'm on you.
Yeah. That's where you got a veteran quarterback, like, for instance, like a Neil O'Donnell can go to Mac and say, hey man, in that situation, we need the points. We don't need a big play. Just go down. You know what I mean? It's situational like that. So I don't know what veterans are in his ear, but I can see some of these like D-Hop and some of these guys, hey man, let's get the points. We right here. We in field goal range. No need.
Dude, you take the sack again. Yeah. You take the sack, you get the points.
You get the points.
Against the Bears, you take the sack, you punt it to a team who can't do anything on offense.
Do we think Will Levis has something against kickers? Do we think he just hates them because he's now just totally ignored the benefit of having kickers and punters to be able to extend a drive or get points?
I just think he wants to win, wants to make plays so bad.
I get it.
That he makes the bonehead play. And we've seen people make those magical plays, and I'm going to use it because he's on TV right now with Mahomes. We've seen him do the no-look stuff. That's not customary. You don't do that. Because if it goes awry and he has a pick six, then we're talking bad about why he's not doing things fundamentally sound. But he has to get away with it. I think until Will gets away with stuff like that, he needs to protect the football, protect his team. And in this instance, he was not protecting his team.
Let's take a quick 10-second break for a legal ID. This is 104.5 The Zone. Brent Dougherty, Kevin Dyson, the good doctor, and Zach Lyons. Jackson is producing. If you want in, 615-737-1045. We have two lines open. If you want to vent, your opportunity. Here we go again, just like last week. Uber King, first up today. Uber King, what's up?
Well, they told me to keep it PG. I don't know. I cussed on the radio. If I did, I'm sorry. I'm not cussing no more. Well, I'm going to keep it real with y'all.
I mean, I think I just cussed, so there you go.
Well, hey, man, I'm going to tell you, man. Dude, I want to win the lottery, but you ain't going to see me spend my whole check on the lottery tickets to see if I can win. If you want to win, dude, try and fall it down sometimes and just hold on to the ball. We don't need to Olay again. I told you last week I can't even call him Will Levis. I call him MC Mayo. MC Mayo does it again. As soon as he does something wrong, we lose all our confidence. Then here comes the interception. Then here comes It should have been 17-0 at halftime.
Again.
That's what it should have been. And why we still stuck at 17? Ain't no such lucky number 17 in Tennessee. And then we play it the same way we play last. It's just like a country song. It's just like an old country song. You know what I'm saying? Tear in my beer, man. Tear in my beer. Levis does it again.
Don't kill my dog.
Yeah. And y'all, KB said, the locker room behind him. And all that. He better get it together, bro. He got 2 weeks, next 2 weeks, he are playing against the people that we fired for him. We got.
That's a great point.
Great point.
Because by the time they play the Dolphins, Ryan Tannehill could be on that roster. So great point there. See you overcame, man. Stay safe out there. 615-737-1045. It's a great point. Malik Willis gets the win today as a starting quarterback for the Green Bay Packers.
Been there a week or two.
12 of 14, 122 yards, a touchdown. The big thing for the Packers today, watching them a little bit, was Josh Jacobs. 32 carries, 151 yards. That will not happen next weekend. That will not happen. So the Packers will have to find a different way to beat the Titans.
Yeah.
That's why I like the Titans in that matchup. They're an early favorite in that game. And despite what we've seen the last 2 weeks, the Titans have a really good chance of being 2-2 going into the bye.
But I'm going to be devil's advocate on this.
Mm-hmm.
Malik also has 60-something yards rushing today.
Yep.
We haven't seen quarterbacks.
6 carries, 41 yards.
41. We haven't seen the first two quarterbacks are not runners like that. Now, Caleb Williams can. He's athletic. He's young enough. Aaron Rodgers beyond that. He's 40 years old. He's not trying to run anymore. He's trying to get rid of football.
He looked 40 years old. I'm not taking anything away from him today because, he had 2 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
But he had like those moments of Hall of Fame Aaron Rodgers pop up at the worst possible time.
Do y'all think he plays Week 17?
Oof.
Just standing in that pocket like that?
If they need to win to go to the playoffs, absolutely.
It's going to be tough.
I just think he's going to get hammered.
I hope not.
Week in, week out.
But my point is with Malik is that's an element that the Titans defense hasn't seen. I mean, I know they're very familiar with him.
Yeah.
But that's an element that we haven't seen the first 2 weeks at a quarterback where you got to be really cognizant of what he's doing in that pocket and knowing his limitations as far as scanning the field and going from read to read and what they're going to drum up. You're the one that told me earlier that watching the game, they just gave him stuff right in front of him, one read options. Mm-hmm. He used a high efficiency, high completion percentage rate, and he don't seem like he made any bonehead plays, rushed for 40-something yards. You take your quarterback run for 40 to 50 yards every week, wouldn't you?
Yeah, for sure. And listen, but the defense for the Green Bay Packers picked off, outside of the very last play, picked off 2 interceptions, had a few sacks on Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson had 3 picks today.
Yeah, but we also got to remember this as well, is that these cornerbacks for the Tennessee Titans are light years better than the Colts. Yeah. So that's going to be a huge thing because Juju Brents went down. This week he's out for the year. So they're playing like some of the worst secondary players you could possibly play. And I think, I know we have a lot to talk about this game and we got callers, but just looking ahead, I know a lot of people think that Malik Willis played this great game. He played a very efficient, safe game. He's not going to be allowed to play that style of game against this defense.
What he did today was he didn't put his team in position to lose.
Yeah.
Yep. Which we cannot say the same about Levis.
But that's the
to
point.
Be fair,
that's the point of a young quarterback. Yep. Don't do something detrimental to the team. Take care of the team.
Bill Belichick said it this past week on a podcast. He said he told Tom Brady, "We got you.
Yeah,
don't worry about it." When he first started out playing, we have Troy Brown. We have all these guys. We have a great defense. We got you. Yeah. And that's probably what they told Malik Willis this week.
He also said risk reward on that underhand pitch thing that Will Levis used to lose the game last week. He said, the risk is you lose the game. Reward is you pick up 2 yards.
Pick up 2 yards.
Yep.
Whatever.
Let me give y'all something right quick. I want to maybe start since we're in week 2 and we're talking about 3 teams 0-2 in the division.
Ravens 0-2, by the way.
And Ravens are 0-2. But in our division, I want to start something. We're in week 2. Let's rank the quarterbacks because I think that's going to be kind of how those 4-team seasons go. Stroud is probably ranked number 1 right now.
For sure. No doubt.
Without question.
Who's your 2? Is it Lawrence?
Probably Trevor Lawrence, but I think he's hit his ceiling.
That's kind of where I'm at.
And then you would go Levis 3, Richardson 4, right?
Yeah. I would go. I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to go Richardson number 3. just because he has at least the big playability. Like he has that Josh Allen-esque big playability. And Will Levis made some great throws today. Oh, some of them ill-advised and just end up being a really great catch. But, like, that's what happens. A 68-something yard play is a 68-yard play. I need to see both from them. So they're kind of like maybe 4A, 4B for me and just leaving the third open for right now. But it's tough.
I'm going to bring it up every few weeks. Just see where you're at. Because I bet you if you go through that, you're going to look at the success of those teams based on our quarterbacks.
Based on how the quarterbacks play.
I think, they're by far the three worst quarterbacks in their own division by far. Like Trevor Lawrence has not played very well, and that's how you end up 0-2.
Yeah.
But the Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. 615-737-1045. We will get to that underhanded flip again. In scoring position. With a turnover. A little bit later.
Game.
Yep, Eric, next up, 3HL 1045 The Zone. It's not 3HL. It's Titans Talkback. I did it already. Get it out of the way. Eric, what's up?
Hey, guys, back at the church because I'm having a news meeting tonight, so I came straight from the game here because it's only like half a mile from the stadium. But before I get to the game, I got to tell you something, Paul, last you guys will get kicked out of before I get to the game. So I pick up my season tickets at this will call window because I don't have a smartphone, so they would give me season tickets. So as the game ended, of course, and it looks like we lose, I start to leave the stadium and stuff and get out. I realized I forgot my bag, and in my bag is my season ticket. So if I had left the stadium without my season ticket, I would have been in serious trouble. But
Eric,
I remember
those season tickets were a gift, bro.
yeah. So I know. So I had to run back and get them. So all was good. I didn't forget. I was able to run back and get my bag, so I did forget my season ticket.
Okay,
as far as the game, you're right. As far as Will Levis, the hero ball. Luckily, we had a 3-and-out, but then on the very next play, turned the ball over again. Now, I also got to give some blame to Traylon Burks for not fighting for the ball because he had the ball in his hand and let the defender take it away from him. And then the Jets went down and scored. But it was frustrating to have the two back-to-back penalties. And of course, I know Callahan shoot out Levis on the sideline for that hero ball thing he did. But also, I'll probably say something a lot of Titans fans would not like. Both the roughing the passer call, one we benefited from, and one that went against us, the first one. I'll be honest, it was awful close. I thought it was a clean hit, but I could be wrong. But a lot of Titans fans, I'll take it, but I thought it was a clean hit. The other one, a lot of Titans fans were upset. I saw the play on the Jumbotron. The defender who was for us, clearly he jerked his face mask because I saw it.
He did.
It was a quick grab, but that was a quick fall because a lot of Titans fans thought there shouldn't have been a call. And then, of course, the Jets got points off of that. But it's just the little things like that, those little mistakes that are killing us. And to me, in my mind, guys, we should be 2-0. But again, if some butts were candy nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
There
and posters on the counts and horseshoes and hand grenades, guys. But hopefully, like I said, I'll be there next week against the Packers and hope we can get a win. Tighten up, guys. Y'all take care and we'll talk to you soon. Don't give up on Levis yet.
We not. Yeah, we talked about it last week, where that game ended with Chicago. Like you said, Brent, just punt every possession and we win that game. I don't think they put up any
points. Unless you get it blocked every time.
Yeah, that's true.
2 block punts in 2 weeks.
But
wow.
But we said, say they go on a run here and they end up 10-something. That first game they're gonna be like, and that get you out of the playoffs. For say they're one game out of playoffs, you can be like, man, that one game. Now they're 1-2.
Aren't you worried that they'll end up 8-9 and miss the playoffs by one game, and it'll come down to that embarrassing thing?
But I will say, even if they do end up 8-9, because right now 8 wins seems probably laughable to a lot of fans and callers, probably on the line. But
coming into the season, it was 6.5 by Vegas.
Right. So if you get to 8, then maybe you have a lot of light at the end of the tunnel. This seems like a team, and I think Brian Callahan has kind of alluded to it for the last 2 weeks. This seems like a team that they're just correctable mistakes and correctable moments in time. Like, this is a team that could get a little streaky if it all starts clicking, because I think while the offensive line didn't play outstanding, they played better than last week. And it's all about if the offensive line keeps improving, Will Levis will likely improve as well. Yeah. So, and you can open up and do more things on the offense. So I kind of got this moment when the last caller was just talking. I'm just thinking, Callahan said it's just a few mistakes here and there. And yes, some of them are the same mistake. Yeah. Some of them are the same mistake with 2 different people, Jack Gibbons and Julius Chestnut on the punt block. But those are correctable mistakes or mistakes that can get fixed.
And
if Jaquan Jackson
in
maybe can quit, having this incessant need to bring the ball out of the end zone every kickoff and maybe give his team a little bit better field position, that could also help. Like these little things. So I'm not saying a win streak's coming, but you put it together like some good plays, some good games. This could be a real streaky team, and the division, at least the second place part of the division, is currently open.
You look at the schedule, and if you go back quarterbacks, because this is a quarterback-driven league, he's going to have to play at par, at worst, with these quarterbacks that he's going up against. Some of these are all perennial Pro Bowlers.
Yeah.
And guys that are putting up 4,000, 4,500 a year. So not to put this whole thing on Levis, he can't be the cause in which the team loses. Now, or put him in a position to have losing plays, which he has in successive weeks. I think he's got to have more to the other side of it, and right now he's not. And I think as we get going and you talk about a team going 8-9, I think for me, the optimism of this season was so high, even though it was a new regime, still dealing with the quarterback going into his second year, was what Rand has seemingly done with this roster of potential, right? You still got to play the games.
Yep.
Potential of the roster and what he has done this offseason, it made my optimism go a lot higher than it typically would when you get a brand new regime. Because there is going to be some bumps. You know what I mean? It's just not, very rarely, and we've seen it a time or two in a recent memory, but very rarely do you get a brand new coach and a roster and they make a run and go Super Bowl or deep in the playoffs. That's just rare. So, but I felt like this year, based on how this offseason has gone, even with the hiring of Callahan, into the way this roster was constructed, I was super optimistic. And I think that's what fans are feeling right now, because you got rid of Rabel, you got Callahan, Rand has done his thing. The optimism was so high, and then the first 2 weeks has been
impossibly high. And they probably feel like they got sold a bill of goods.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think at the end of the day, I think one of the first shows I did with Blaine, I talked about how the vibes were just impossibly high and maybe too unobtainable for like real world results.
Yeah.
And we cautioned that this offense will take time, this team will take time. And listen, the defense played really well. They did have a couple of bad plays that we probably do need to talk about as well. And listen, Jeffrey Simmons did grab that face mask. And a lot of people don't think that he did. They think he just brushed the helmet. He grabbed and jerked.
He put his hand on the helmet.
Yeah.
He did. He did. This is the Lee Company Titans Talkback. If you want in, 615-737-1045. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson. When we come back, more of your phone calls, your reaction. Titans lose 24-17. This is Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company. All you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Lee Company Titans Talkback. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. You can watch the show live, YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, and Twitch. Don Davenport would say Twitch, please. I'm trying to find... Somebody was complaining about Brian Callahan yelling at Will Levis.
Oh, yeah, that was Ricky W. in the chat. Avid chat
there it is.
User.
I didn't like Brian Callahan dog cuss Will Levis. That's your starting quarterback, bro. We started the show with this, and obviously we have a lot to get to over the course of the next couple of hours, but this is certainly one of them. Will Levis, certainly with the bad mistake against the Bears that ultimately... No, not one play cost you a game. Any coach and player will tell you that. But in the moment, it definitely did. Mm-hmm. And so you talk about it all week. Like, hey, man, got to be smart with the football. Live to fight another day. Take the sack. Happened again today. So
I mean, he's almost horizontal. Like, he was just like, it was crazy.
You almost had to review it to see if he got it off in time. I mean, that's how close it was.
It's just comic. Like, I know it's not a laughing matter because the Tennessee Titans lost, and this was one of the many reasons that they lost. But you just throw your hands up and you just laugh. Like, you just can't believe it.
Well, Dice, you have been around coaches your entire life.
Yeah.
And sometimes... coaches will yell at you and get into you for one mistake. A lot of times they will try to explain what happened and like what can we do better moving forward. And my guess is that's how Brian Callahan handled last week's mistake. But it's something that probably was a discussion point all week. So when he did it again, light into him.
Dealing with professional athletes is a little bit different too, right? They're like you're in elementary, middle school, high school. You're molding athletes and their emotions, so you might not be as abrasive, but you start getting more and more as they get older. They can handle things. College, kind of the same thing. Pro is a little bit different. You got to know the personality of your player. Like, if that was Aaron Rodgers, that wouldn't have happened, even if he made the same mistake, right? He's earned that right to make a mistake or two, right? This is called what it is. Michael Jordan wasn't getting dog cussed like that because he earned the respect and right to be able to make mistakes, right? Joe Montana.
And to kind of like self-fix. You know what I mean?
All you got to do is remind him, hey, Tom Brady, same thing. He made mistakes too. All you got to do is, Tom, bad throw. Yeah, I got you. Don't worry about it. I think for this situation, the frustration is Callahan feels it, man. He's a first-time head coach who should be 2-0 in what he's doing, and the one person who touches the ball on every play, who needs to protect the ball, has made two critical mistakes in a lot of respects that has cost the team a win. Now, you can talk about momentum, you can talk about different points of the game, but certainly it doesn't help. I mean, the pick six was crucial. There was points in on this one that he didn't get. So it's
at least a field goal.
Yep. So it's one of those things. I think for Callahan, it just boiled over because I think it's like when you tell your kids over and over again, they do the same daggone thing. At some point, you're just gonna snap, and I think that's what happened. But as the years go on, hopefully, as he continues to get better, you won't see that. It'll just be that mutual. Hey, you know better than that, because hopefully these incidents are rare and not common as they seem to be from week to week right now.
I think that's the hardest thing I have to like reconcile is that I got to work on this week is like you hope that they're rare, but they have proven not to be rare through 2 weeks of football, which is just it's. Like if the mistake was 1 week and then maybe we're talking about the same throw 7 weeks down the line, it's a little bit different. But now that they're back to back and they're almost the same exact play, granted one of them was a flick six and the other one was just an interception. Different outcomes at the end, but they still cost your team points, like you said. They cost your team momentum. Tons of fans have been on Twitter that says at that moment, the Titans took themselves out of the fans out of the game. Like sometimes it takes like a long touchdown pass or something like that. It was Will Levis took his own fans out of the game that early.
Yeah. I still like the fact that he's owning it.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that he keeps doing it.
Right.
That and taking unnecessary hits. He's still got to take care of his body. I mean, he's a big boy and I get it, But this is about longevity, and he has opportunity to have a long career as a potential NFL starter in the National Football League. He's got to learn to protect the ball. He's got to learn to protect himself. And that's two things from week to week to week to week that we keep saying that he has to get better at. And, what I like about him is he owns it at least. Mm-hmm. He says it verbally, vocalizes it publicly.
He says he has to rewire. His words were today, he has to rewire his brain.
Yeah, see?
It's just ingrained in his DNA.
Yeah. Can you be too competitive?
Yes, in some regards. I think sometimes it's that you try too hard. When you try too hard, a mistake happens. And I think, yes, in some regards, it can be. But I think situational football, basketball, baseball, you have to be aware. I think that's what makes people the difference between even like Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady is situational football. They know situations. They know it's 3rd and 11, a minute 11 to go. We're down 3. I can force this one. Or it's a minute 11 to go. We're up 2. I'm not going to force this one. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to take the sack. And I think they have been around it long enough and done it long enough that it just becomes habitual. It just becomes a part of their DNA. Whereas Will, who probably bigger, faster, stronger, athletically, been able to get away with a lot of things he's doing right now and can't do that in this league when everybody's bigger, faster, stronger.
Colts, Jaguars, Titans all 0-2. The Texans play the Bears tonight in Houston. 615.
I think they're going to smash the Bears.
737-1045.
I'm with you.
I do too. Charles, next up on Titans Talkback. Charles, what's up?
Hey, man, I'm just calling. I think the play calling is terrible. Is it against the law to throw the ball on first down with 4 wide receivers in the lineup, change it up some instead of running first down for no yard? And the special team guy, the coach, he's terrible. That's all I got to say. Thanks.
Can I say something about this?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Charles.
We just saw Will Levis make many mistakes over two weeks. Do we really think passing the ball is the way to fix it on first down? They had 26 first down play calls. 16 were runs. 10 were passes. They averaged 2.4 yards per completion on those passes. And they, of course, they weren't all completed, but, on those pass plays, 2.4 yards. The run plays were at least 3.9, which is where they want to be. They want to be at 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 6. Until your quarterback can be trusted, first down passes ain't really going to help you. I don't know how these fans reconcile that, but that doesn't make any sense. We just saw Will Levis not do well on first down pass plays. So they called 10 of them. 2.4 yards is what they gained on average.
But that doesn't mean run it every time.
Right.
And not that they are. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, a lot of football is self-check, right? Yeah. Like self-evaluation in terms of what you're doing analytically, but also in terms of what the playbook is.
I think there's a type of passing play that comes with that. You looking at the stats, I think the longest completion on first down was 9 yards to Boyd. Later in the second quarter, I guess it says. And that was first quarter, excuse me. This is the first quarter. That was his longest completions on first down. Now, that being said, typically you're doing play action on first down to combat that tendency to run right at the start of his change of possession. And I think that's where the run game has got to get a little bit better. We saw some flashes today. We saw the 15-yard run. We saw a couple of different things there. But being able to maybe take shots on first down, then compared to a 9-yard completion, but averaging, would you say 2.4 yards per completion?
Yeah, or per play, per pass play, which is a lot different than the prior regime. Like the prior regime, the pass plays on first down were super effective. Mm-hmm. So there's a difference between this regime.
They hardly ever did it. It was it was like a trick play.
Yeah. So that's the difference here is that people got to understand. There's the San Francisco 49ers run a lot. And they are what all these fans want this offense to be is something like the San Francisco 49ers. They run a lot.
Yeah.
And they're effective running it. Right now, really, to be honest, neither the run play or the pass play is very effective on first down, but the run play is a little bit more effective. Yeah. Last year, it was the pass plays were way more effective, and the run plays were ineffective. So we got to make sure that we put everything into context and there's nuance. It's not just the context of, well, they ran here and they passed over here. It's what they did in those runs and passes.
Yeah. Right. Plus, this staff isn't looking at last year's staff and running the numbers on what they did.
There's no Derrick Henry. There's no Ryan Tannehill.
Right.
That last year doesn't really matter to this staff this year.
J. Rob's Burner on YouTube. Our O-line can't block a Facebook friend. That's pretty funny. 615-737-1045. Larry in Old Hickory. Larry, what's up?
Oh, well, I just wanted to say that I've been a PSL owner since the beginning when they came here, and it just appeared to me I had high hopes that they would correct all the things from the last game with the Bears, and it just kind of reminded me of deja vu, especially with the block punt again and the interceptions. I thought all those things would be corrected, so I don't know what the answer is to get this corrected. I'm asking y'all about that.
Thank you, brother.
I think it's just patience. Like, at this point, unfortunately, now
they got figured out, too.
Yeah. Because I don't know if Levis, I don't know what Levis is. Yeah. And he's a very unwritten book.
I mean, he started 6 for 6, right?
Yeah. He was doing really, I think he actually started 8 for 8 before his first
because
completion.
one came back because pass interference or whatever.
So, you got to say, well, he started out looking good. And listen, those were on a lot of, coming off the run and everything. They had 3 explosive runs and all this kind of stuff. But you got to preach patience, but then you also, that's a hard pill to swallow for the fans because of what we talked about earlier, their perspective heading into the season.
Yeah. It just becomes about attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention to your craft, pay attention to your assignments. Don't take anything for granted. I think one thing you saw on the correction as far as punt block was just the attention to detail. Make sure they were counting the right people and then sustaining their blocks and releasing. And again, it's just one of those times. Anytime you take one thing for granted, you misstep, or you think you're just going to punch and go. He's not going to go any further than that. And then that's where you create a gap and the ball gets blocked.
Yeah.
And I think that's just continue preaching that from Callahan's perspective. Can continue to preach of know your role, know your assignments, and produce, and pay attention to details. I think his frustration, as a caller said and talked about on the sideline, is, man, we've been talking about this all week. We've been in our meeting rooms.
Mm-hmm.
You said it in interviews. I can't do those types of things. I can't put our team in a bad situation. And yet something in his DNA still produced that today. And so that's something he's got to be conscientious of. And I don't know how you map that out in practice and create those scenarios for him, because quarterbacks are not touched in practice. So how do you create those scenarios for him to say, what do you do in this situation? Get rid of, just go down. Whatever it may be.
I did think he climbed the ladder in the pocket better today and wasn't drifting in the pocket.
That's why I started off. I thought they played
you could
better.
see that he made that adjustment.
Yeah.
King Carnage in YouTube said, Coach doesn't trust him. You can see it in the play calling. Do you read that, Dice? Or no?
Not necessarily. I think as far as the coach, I think he's still grasping to see what the capabilities are, not just of Levis, of the team. I think he might have something with Ridley. I think he's seeing what he can with his speed and crossing routes and things like that. I still believe he's trying to figure out rotations. They're playing a lot of receivers in different packages. They were rotating running backs in different packages until Spears went out. I still think he's trying to find out who his offensive guys are, and if your quarterback is the peaks and valleys guy, maybe the valleys are not as low as they were the week before, but if your quarterback's like that, it does make it hard as a play caller to find some consistency in what we can do, because he probably wants to do a lot of different things, and I don't want to say he doesn't trust Levis, he's just not sure where he is at mentally, especially after a bonehead mistake he made then because as a coach, you got to navigate that too. Where's he at mentally? He made a mistake. I jumped on him. If I go out here, he's going to make another mistake. How's he recover? He's still learning how he responds to adversity as well. And so that's a process that goes throughout the year. That's why I said just rate these quarterbacks as the year goes long is 1A, 2A, whatever you want, because who's getting better? Because I think I would go 3-4 with Richardson, but at the same time, like you said, Richardson adds a different element from a big play capability, and he's got a big arm. So he might have one of those games you're like, ooh, he looks good. He might be number 2 this week, So
they were a favorite on the road, though. Titans have been underdogs in both games.
And
I will say this, they're not 1-for-1 swaps either. Like if you put Anthony Richardson probably in this style of offense, because this style of offense is not reliant on. It's a Joe Burrow style offense. Yeah. It's not reliant on the run. And Shane Steichen has designed, that Anthony Richardson and Indianapolis Colts offense more closer to what the Eagles run. So it's kind of a little bit different.
Yep.
I will say this, as this is going to sound crazy to say, but I thought we talked about last week, and even Brian Callahan even mentioned it. It was like they were in 12 instances where they were in 3rd and 7 and longer, and he wanted to stay out of that. 4 instances, and one of those was a field goal attempt at the end of the half. So I thought that there's improvement, right? There's tangible improvement.
They were better today.
They were better than last week, but they still weren't good enough.
Yeah. 615-737-1045. Michael next up on Titans Talkback. Michael, what's up?
Hey, guys. I was a few feet from from Don on the WVU Pitt game. I'm in your chat on YouTube every week, the West V Mountains.
Yeah.
And I saw my quarterback, we're up 10 points with 4 minutes to go, and we blow the game.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, very tough one against our biggest rival.
Yep.
And I've trolled your YouTube chat all week with silly requests for Levis to go to Rose Park Middle School, because to underhand throw from the hash mark to the sideline, that should be coached out in 7th grade. You shouldn't be doing that in high school, college, or the NFL.
True.
So at this point, is it a silly request for him to go to Rose Park Middle School? Like, it's happened 2 weeks in a row. So do we send him there and get that coached out with him at this point? But I do want to say my biggest complaint is the fact that, in my opinion, we have the best punter in the NFL, Stonehouse. In his last 4 starts, in his last 3 starts, he has 4 blocks. Do we make an example, whether it's a coach or a player, does somebody need to get fired at this point and say, enough's enough? This guy cannot be blocked next week.
Thank you, Michael. Sorry about the loss. That is a big one, the backyard brawl. 75 miles between those two schools, West Virginia and Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh with a big comeback win over West Virginia. Yeah, I mean, the reality of that situation is somebody did get fired. So,
well, I will say this: it's
Colt Anderson is the guy now, and through 2 games, 2 punt blocks, and Jaquan Jackson's making weird decisions too.
Yeah. And maybe you could chalk that up to a rookie. I don't know what they're coaching Jaquan Jackson do in these instances, because this is a new kickoff rule and stuff like that. So we don't know what these guys are being coached. Maybe there's a feeling out process there. But the two punt blocks, they are one person's fault. I really don't care that Colt Anderson tried to fall on the sword and try to take the blame or whatever. We all know the truth. The players themselves knew the truth. Jack Gibbons said something after the game that it was his fault. Julius Chestnut has now said something. But I would like to put a little blame on Rand Carthon on this and say and here's why. Because when you're cutting down and choosing your final 53, they let a lot of guys go that were really good at special teams. In fact, the head coach said, and maybe this should be Rand Carthon and Brian Callahan on this situation, because I'm sure they collaborated on this final 53. But when Brian Callahan says, hey, Hassan Haskins is a special teams demon, I bet you wish you would have had that special teams demon last week on the 66 run, because he probably could have made a tackle, because he led the special teams tackle as a rookie. And I bet you would have liked to have him out there blocking when Julius Chestnut was out there blocking. So,
although Chestnut did recover the fumble last week.
Well, that's true.
So,
But
yeah, no, I get what you're saying in terms of
a lot of
special
Matt
teams.
Jackson, Anthony Kendall, Eric Gare, all guys that were really good at special teams, and they were all gone.
Yeah.
All right, more coming up, more of your reaction. We've got one line open. If you want it, grab it, 615-737-1045. Lee Company, Titans Talkback, Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. It is time for the Kroger Sacks for Cash. Today, the Titans had 2 sacks, courtesy of Harold Landry, both of them. For the season, Kroger's donation to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee now stands at $1,100. Every time the Titans sack the opposing team's quarterback, Kroger donates $100 to Second Harvest Food Bank of Middle Tennessee. Through its Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan, Kroger is committed to ending hunger in our communities. Harold Landry, very active today. Two more sacks. That's 3 so far.
3 for the year, huh?
Yep. T'Vondre Sweat, very active again. T'Vondre Sweat is so effective. His production doesn't necessarily stand out in the stat sheet, but, man, that's a people mover.
Yeah, it's not his presence is not going to be something you look up and you say, oh, he had a great day. I think you buy to judge him by everybody else. Harold Landry getting one-on-ones, Big Jeff getting one-on-ones, and him taking the double team.
Yeah. Sweat's already getting double team.
From the week before, it was Big Jeff getting the doubles.
Yep.
And he had a big game.
And one-time triple.
Yeah. So, he sure did. So, I'm happy for him. And if he continues to progress the way he is, you're going to have one of the best, if not the best, interior defensive line tandems by the end of the year. You potentially could.
Yeah, I think that, it's something about being in football shape, too. Like, the more reps you have, and now you're banging against someone at full speed all the time, and you don't really get those reps out there in the offseason. You kind of do, but you don't. And preseason's kind of like you kind of do, but you don't. Now you're getting those, and so T'Vondre Sweat will just end up being better and better and more effective. And defense, the Jets' game plan, they did not want to have pressure up the middle. You could tell that's where they did not want the pressure to come from because they were doing everything they can to stop that. But when you're double teaming him and then you maybe pick up one guy that gets Jeff Simmons effectively out of the way, there's this wide hole, and here comes Ernest Jones or Kenneth Murray, who Ernest Jones is just a life changer.
Oh, man, dude.
He has saved – Ernest Jones has saved my life this year because, I don't have to watch Jack Gibbons out there. No offense, Jack Gibbons, but I'm just excited.
Good rotational player.
He is. But
Ernest Jones is showing what he's going to be, and, man, he makes some highlight plays for sure.
Remember Ray Lewis back in those days, what he had in front of him, Standout, Adams, and Saragusa.
Oh, yeah.
Made his job a whole lot easier because they took on so much for him. He could just do what he does best, get to the football. Mm-hmm.
So ideally, like interior offensive linemen want to get to the second level. They want to get to the linebackers. But like to y'all's point, like T. Sweat's now getting double teamed already. Yeah. So for him to get double teamed, that's taking 2 interior offensive linemen off that second level, which means Ernest Jones is running around and making plays, which is what we saw today.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to be interesting how that plays out for the rest of the year.
615-737-1045. Jackson next up on Titans Talkback. Jackson, what's up?
What's up, guys? Hey, so I live in Arkansas, actually, but I'm on the road to Kentucky, and so I didn't get to watch the game. And so I'm kind of glad that I didn't because I feel like my wife would have kicked me out of the house when I broke my TV. Watching Will Levis make a play like that again, because that's ridiculous. And that's my question is, I didn't watch a lot of his tape in college, but, like, did he make a lot of boneheaded plays like that? Is one of my questions. And, like, do you think he has a lot of pressure on him? And, Kevin, you can attest to this maybe with all the guys y'all had back in the day, all the weapons and stuff. Like, do you think he has too many weapons? He's trying to make a play. I don't know. That's kind of what I've been thinking through.
Will Levis's college career was interesting. Thank you, Jackson. I'm glad you didn't break your television. When he had Liam Cohen his junior year, he threw more interceptions that year than he did his senior year, but everything you saw from him is kind of what you see. Like, I mean, he's has a live arm. He's going to take chances, and he had a really good offensive coordinator that he got along well with, and so he played at a high level. The next year, he gets hurt early in the season. I was told that he was told to shut it down, and he told them no. And so he played the rest of the season, the entirety of the season, basically, injured. And so you kind of have to take that in, right? And also, his offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, left. So there are all those things going on at Kentucky. Plus, I mean, let's be honest, it's Kentucky. No disrespect. I'm just saying, like, the options are limited.
I'll disrespect it. It's Kentucky.
So he had Wandell Morris his junior year. He's gone. So his senior year, he's got, Barry Brown from Pearl Cone, who's a freshman, is really talented. But, I mean, So there are a lot of things going on with regard to Will Levis in college, and you can see some of those things now. Yeah. Risk taker, live arm, all those things.
Yeah. Well, to the caller's question, was there a lot of boneheaded plays on his tape in college? I like that. No. Were there a lot of, I guess you would say, college quarterback in a bad offensive system who may not be terribly accurate? Like, there were a lot of bad decisions. There were a lot of inaccurate throws. There were a lot of holding on to the ball too long. There were some sacks that he could have avoided and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as far as boneheaded plays that would cause you to break your TV, probably not. I would have to be honest there. I was not a Kentucky. I predicted Will Levis would go in the second round. Unfortunately, he went to the second round in Tennessee. But I did say...
Why, unfortunately?
Well, because I had to hang a Kentucky flag up in the back of the podcast background because I lost that bet. But I did get that he went to the second round.
Because you lost the bet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But there's everybody could say that is likely about the personality quirks, that reason why he fell. But for me, it was all about the tape. Mm-hmm. And I thought the tape said second round quarterback.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't happen a lot. Mm-hmm. But when it does happen, talking about his bonehead plays, is pretty significant.
Yeah.
And that has been because you're going to make mistakes, especially if you're a risk taker. Brett Favre was a risk taker. He threw a lot of picks.
A lot of the great ones are.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And so there's a level of that you respect and you like. However, there's situational football and being smarter in situations like the Chicago game. No need for that. There's no need. Take the sack, punt the ball. Your defense is playing well. This last one, you're in field goal range. Your guys are actually playing a pretty good game up until that point. Just go down. What are you doing? I think, but you said, Brent, what's the outcome? Maybe +2?
Yeah, risk reward.
To your point, though, this may be a good question for whoever in media is listening that can go ask this question because the press conferences usually conflict with Blaine and Zach, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. But
I like it.
Is like you said earlier, like, how do you teach that and how do you practice that? And I would love to know, like, what do you do in these situations? Yeah, they seem like very rare situations, but how do you coach better decision making in practice, or is it just a film room and you just tell someone something? Like, how can you do that?
Dyson, it's a change of mindset kind of thing, right? Like, it's not necessarily practiced out of you.
I guess, how do you help Levis rewire his brain?
You just have to understand,
football, right? You do third and short, red zone, 2-minute drill, things like that, right?
But in terms of like eating the football, like taking a sack instead of.
That's hard to do unless you just reiterate when you watch a film like right here, we know what we're supposed to do, right? Protect the football. No situation. Note it down a distance. This is one of those situations where we'd rather take the sack than make a bonehead play and give him a pick six. Like, you can't replicate the physicality of a game for a quarterback in practice. You just can't, right? They're too valuable. They don't take hits. They got the red jerseys on for a reason. So that just becomes more classroom.
And that's why it feels like it's such a big hurdle with Will Levis, because the bad decision making, maybe not all bad decisions are of equal disaster level.
Right.
But it sure feels like his college tape's littered with it. Even last year, he had he had a lot of turnover-worthy plays that didn't actually result in turnovers. And now we're talking about the chickens are coming home to roost, it feels like. And I don't know I don't know how you fix it. It's like I don't know what Brian Callahan is supposed to do other than what you're talking about is like just tell him. But like I don't know how that works in the end. Like
it's on him.
Yeah.
It's Callahan too. You got to get the quarterback prepared, but it's on him. When it feels familiar to you, and you got to fight against your instinct sometimes, right? He's going to have to fight against that natural tendency to do whatever it is that could potentially go bad. But I'm gonna put a capital BUT on that. There's always that one time when you do something stupid and it works out for a touchdown, right?
Yep.
So you don't want to take the creativity away, but you got to be smart. Yeah. You know.
Lee Company Titans Talkback. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. More of your phone calls, your reaction. When we come back, two pretty good running backs, and the Titans held them both down. We got their numbers next. 3HL is on tomorrow. So is Blaine and Zach and RK Dub. And
I'm glad you catch it just right before you really go off.
The Buck Rising Show. I mean, it's ingrained in your brain. Like, I start conversations with people. Hey, I'm Brent from 3HL. How are you?
It's like Will Levis. You need to rewire your brain for game time here.
I can't do it, so I can't criticize him. More next. 104.5 The Zone. We are talking through it. Another 24-17 loss. Titans now 0-2. Lee Company Titans talk back. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson. If you want in, 615-737-1045. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Breece Hall, elite running back in this league, 62 yards on 14 carries. DeAndre Swift last week, 10 carries, 30 yards. If this defense can stay pretty healthy, hard to imagine them giving up a 100-yard rusher. Yeah. They're that good.
Yeah. You're going to have to be pretty stout up front because these guys compete. And the way that Sweat is progressing already, he's creating one-on-ones for one of the best interior defensive linemen in the whole National Football League. And if Big Jeff can get more one-on-ones than he can double teams, that just bodes well for the Titans.
Harold Landry with 2 sacks today. He's got 3 on the year, so that's 12 in his last 14 games.
Yeah, he had to play catch-up last year, right? We were like, where is he at? And all of a sudden he caught up there at the end, but he started off
coming off the ACL, and then they had the bye week, and then he had 9 sacks in his last 12 games. Yep. So he's got 3 and 2, so that's 12 sacks in 14 games now for Harold Landry.
That's a 25.5 sack pace.
How about that? How about that? Zach, you were talking about before we get there, let me get to Jonathan, who's been very patient. Everybody being very patient. We appreciate that. Jonathan, what's up? How are you? Yo, Jonathan.
Hey, I got 2 things today. The first thing is, when do you think it's time to give Mason Rudolph a chance? He went 3-1 last year. He proved to be very good. And the second thing is, our defense has been keeping us in every game this year so far. But the only bad problem is they haven't gotten any turnovers, and the teams we played against have got 2+ turnovers, which kind of gives them the upper edge.
Yep. Yeah, yes, you're right. Thank you, Jonathan.
Turnovers are just a volatile stat. Like, I think, yards per attempt, yards per game, stuff like that, points, obviously, are just as important as turnovers. I think fans overrate turnovers just a tad bit because they think it's so easy to do because Will Levis makes it look easy for the other defenses. But, a lot of other people are very careful with the ball and stuff.
Nick Saban had some analytical thing he threw out there on game day. I forget what it was about turnovers, but it was plus whatever if you can get one. So they preach it. Everybody preaches it. Yeah. But if you think about it, the Titans had 4 batted balls last week that they just didn't get to. And part of that is like you're making the play, but it's unlucky that you can't get to it. But, it's an important thing for sure.
Yeah, it's very important. Just you can't count. I think any defensive coordinator and probably any head coach, maybe even any player would tell you just can't rely on turnovers. You have to rely on defensive stops.
And execution.
I would think. Yep. Yeah. But I wanted to ask Kevin Dyson over here, that last play from a perspective where, we already know that Tyler Boyd cut off his route short. That's what the head coach said. He was, should have gone 2 yards deeper. But there were 3 pass catchers just in this small little area, which invites a lot of defenders, which they're in zone anyway. And then you had two guys over to the left. So 3 guys on the right, 2 guys over on the left, pass catchers. I just wondered with the position they were on the field with the ball where it was snapped, what do you think about that route concept? Like, do you think that there should have been maybe a little bit more spread out and use a little bit more of the field? Or is it just like, because that seems like a lot of confusion and decision-making for a quarterback who is not very good at that so far.
I think what's going on there is they're trying to do what we call sticks. Okay. A couple guys get to the depth, the 1 yard past the down marker, and we try to back shoulder you or put you in a spot where only you can make a play, not the DB. Also, a situation like that, being where they were, you do want to try to get somebody at the back of the end zone that can roam that back pylon part of the end zone just in case you got to throw it back there. You want one probably heading to the coffin corner, and I don't know if they had that. Didn't look like it, especially on the backside there. I think what Callahan was getting at was he ran it 2 yards short. We get to running routes, and we're so routine that I could run a curl to this day and run at 12 yards with no lines. Like that's just how I run them so long, and that can happen sometimes when.
So if it's 3rd and 13, do you take that 12-yard
But
curl
you're
and
supposed to go
extend
to
it.
14. You go 14 back to 13, and that's where I think Callahan was saying is he needed to go. I don't know. 14.
He probably in his head ran the 12-yard whatever or whatever it is.
And the coverage in front of him, the guy probably squatted right at the goal line. Yeah. He's trying to figure out I can post him and bellow out, which he did. The ball went inside, still almost made the play. Now was he going to score from that? I doubt it. He was going the wrong way. If he turned back the other way, he might have. But it was just one of the ones you hope it works out. If Will throws that to the outside, he may catch it. He threw it. It was inside. The guy's hands were in there. He got his hands in on the catch. He still almost caught it. But again, it's the little fundamental things that I think Callahan's trying to emphasize is we take care of football. We don't try to do an underhand throw, or we got to go that extra 2 yards in that situation to give ourselves a chance for a touchdown, regardless if you catch it or not.
615-737-1045. Tim QB next up on Titans Talkback. Tim, what's up?
Not much. My question is sort of similar to the last caller's question that didn't get addressed. How far are we away from seeing Mason Rudolph?
I forgot that part.
What do you think about that? Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it.
Feels very 2019-esque, I guess. I mean, like...
You got a ways to go on that one.
Yeah. Here's the thing, because we brought this up on Blaine and Zach, is that do you want to win games with Mason Rudolph? Because then you are playing yourself out of position for a quarterback in this draft. And listen, maybe you do because this draft doesn't suck or is not great for quarterbacks. But it's hard to reconcile from the fans because fans want to win games. And I'm sure that Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon and all the competitors want to win games. But
I mean, are they 2-0 with Mason Rudolph at quarterback? They might be.
They may be. But is Mason Rudolph your Ryan Tannehill, then you're stuck in quarterback purgatory.
Right.
So,
the reality of the situation is they have to evaluate Levis to move on because they've built this team around him, yes, but around that position. So I don't think, look, this group didn't draft him. So if they figure out that he's not the guy this year, then they will draft a quarterback.
I mean,
they will.
Let's say this, but I will caveat.
But they've got to figure out if he's the guy.
did draft him. Amy Adams-Strunk, depending on who you believe, if you believe Charles Robinson on a podcast, right after the Levis was drafted.
Did Rand Carthon draft him?
Well, he said.
That's a fair question.
Let me say this. He said this he was on maybe as a Yahoo Sports podcast, but Charles Robinson said that it was an ownership driven. And this was like about a month or so. I'd have to go find the clip. I probably have the clip on my Twitter, but he told the host, hey, this was an ownership driven thing, and how much is Amy Adams-Strunk? Let's say that's true. Okay, I'm gonna ask you guys this question. Let's say that's true. It was ownership driven, and Will Levis falls flat on his face this season. Is she going to take the blame, or is she going to use Rand Carthon as a scapegoat, or is she just going to say, "Hey, we're wiping the slate clean. Levis is out of here. Do what you need to do."
When J-Rob was here, there were draft picks that J-Rob got on the table for, and there were draft picks that Mike Vrabel got on the table for. So, for J-Rob to get all of the hate for some of these draft picks, that's fine, well and good. But from what I know, Mike Vrabel had a hand in some of those draft picks.
Absolutely.
Not just together, but like, I want this guy, get this guy, and they got that guy.
Yeah, where they lost their synergy is that draft day decision to get rid of A.J. Brown. That's where it was clearly and visibly noticed that they weren't on the same page. And that, to me, is... And
I don't know this, but I would guess that one was J-Rob.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
You saw when they were in the war room, Vrabel throw his hands up like, what the heck are we doing?
Yeah. But like Isaiah Wilson...
He wanted to run the football.
Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. So
yeah, I don't know how all that goes down. I think they're in a good place now.
Yeah.
In terms of synergy with head coach and GM, and Rand Carthon has certainly much more of a stake at it now.
I know we're talking about 0-2 with Levis this year, and I'm gonna be the positive guy in this. the bonehead plays aside, he's got to get better reading the defense, take what they give you. But that's typical for young quarterbacks anyway. If he gets rid of the bonehead plays, I don't think we're having this conversation about Mason or Will. I think he's like, okay, we can live with some of the mistakes knowing that he's a rookie. It's just how big the mistakes have been these first 2 weeks that people are like, he might not be the guy. But
yeah, and the reason why I'm not taking a big hard line stand on Will Levis right now or the team is because they're about to play 2 games against backup quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. So let's see where they are in 4 weeks.
If they go 0-2, it might be a detrimental call.
Right. So if they're 0-4 after that, then all bets are off.
Because
that's the bye week too.
If they're 0-4. Do you have your answer on Will Levis? Like, if you're from their perspective, do you feel that or do you think they're like, hey, these are all minor corrections. Don't forget, we got the punt blocks involved. Yeah. We got some egregious, penalties here and there.
I think
we got the bye week. We can fix all this stuff.
I think it'll take them longer than 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. If he's doing a bonehead play a game, or like y'all call hero ball a game, I think that does start perking your ears up a little bit. Like, okay, we got to maybe take a look at this. But I don't see him going to the bench anytime soon. Maybe in a game, in a circumstance where he's really, really struggling, they go with Mason. But
I mean, if once you bench him, it's over.
We saw it with Mariota.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to properly attribute it. It was my main man, Michael Smith podcast. So Michael Smith, formerly of ESPN.
Yeah, there you go. 615-737-1045. Ron next up on Titans Talkback. Ron, what's up? Ron, what's up?
Ron, hey, we can hear you, bro.
All right, Ron. So much for that. Ali, next up. Ali, what's up?
What up, guys?
Yo.
Mayor, hope you're doing well.
Yes, sir. You too.
Zach, congrats on the new role.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So this is where I stand on this. If Will Levis keeps playing like this, the Titans need to go ahead and go to Mason Rudolph. I was all in on Will Levis. I let the crowd in Kansas City know about it when I announced that draft pick, that I was all in on Will Levis. But the thing is, this kid is costing his team a lot. Like, this kid is costing his team a lot more than his mistakes. I mean, I personally feel like just because how Mason Rudolph came from a team that had a really strong defense, the Titans are sitting 2-0 if Will Levis is not quarterback one right now. He doesn't make those mistakes. He's a quarterback manager, and I feel like with all the talent that the Titans have right now on this roster, a quarterback manager like Mason Rudolph, you're competing for the AFC South without a problem. And then, my second note is, I mean, hey, I'm not going to let Callahan go on this because I was a hardcore Vrabel guy because just my Buckeye roots. But Callahan, man, like, some of these play calls are like, hey, we got to fix this. We got to get better on the offensive play calls. Like, the Titans pulled this whole program out that they're hiring this offensive mind. At the end of the day, after 2 weeks, all they've scored is 7 points in the second half. What's changed since Mike Vrabel was fired? Really nothing. It's the same exact persona. Play great defense and score 0 points in the second half. Like, that has to get fixed. I don't know if it's Brian Callahan, like, he's still figuring it out at all. But the thing is, like, we didn't let Vrabel off the hook for that. Brian Callahan has to get held accountable for the offense not scoring 7 points in 2 games in the second half. That should be unacceptable. I'm sorry. They pulled this whole thing out. We're hiring an offensive mind. Where the heck is this offensive mind at?
Thank you, Ali. Appreciate it, man.
I think you're looking for offensive execution. I mean, personally, I look at the plays, I look at what's being developed and what's happening. In fact, I just retweeted Dana Orlovsky is talking about on the first down play, 1st and goal with 50 seconds left in the game, that I can't tell because he's one of those old people who likes to like videotape his computer screen for the highlights. Like, can you not just use screen record or something? And I believe it's DeAndre Hopkins is even calling for the ball, waving for it, and Will Levis just doesn't hit it. Like, it's kind of like when people wanted to blame Tim Kelly week 1 last year. Now, there's a lot of blame for Tim Kelly to go around for last year's offensive woes. But Ryan Tannehill poorly executed and missed 3 open touchdowns last year in week 1.
That happens all the time.
And it does.
Like, Dice, how often were you open with the late great Steve McNair, even at quarterback, where you're like, hey, Mac, I was wide open.
And again, like my receiver coach would tell me way back, Fred Grace, who worked here for a little while, is you don't know what it's like having 300-pound dudes running down and then trying to hit you with everything they got in your face while you're trying to make an accurate throw to stand and deliver. So his whole point was, when you get opportunity, make the catch, because you just never know. But again, to that point, like Mac would come to how were you on that side? I was good, because his read and coverage may have taken him that side, but he was like, what was on that side? And then we had those conversations. And I there was a couple times today, in particular with D Hop, I was like, just take that. It's right there. You're still getting the first downs to the chains are moving, but he took opportunity. One of them worked out for him to really touchdown. It worked out for him. It shouldn't have.
It was an I don't think people realize my first instinct was, man, great catch. Fantastic catch. Calvin Ridley is legit.
Yeah.
Ooh, that throw though. That's scary. That's a scary throw.
Yeah.
But that's what you get with Will Levis. Whereas with Joe Burrow, you may not get that throw, but you're going to get all those D-hop throws.
Yes.
So there's like a trade-off.
Yeah.
Lee Company, Titans Talk Back. More next. All lines are loaded. We appreciate you guys taking the opportunity to call in. And Vent will be here until 6:30, walking you up to Sunday Night Football. Bears at Texans. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. It is Lee Company Titans Talkback. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson walking you through the aftermath of that 24-17 loss.
The aftermath.
Consistency. They lose 24-17.
Dr. Dre.
Weeks 1 and weeks 2.
We've been saying we want more consistency from this team.
So what happens next week? Titans a 1.5-point favorite over the Green Bay Packers.
They're favored. There we go. That's all you needed. That's all it's needed. They've been underdog the first 2 weeks. Underdog with a rookie quarterback. That's what it is. They just need to be favored one time.
You keep calling Levis a rookie quarterback because you think like that was 11 games.
Yeah.
So still a rookie?
Still a rookie. I mean, technically, they're all rookies until I think your 20th game. It's like 16 games plus whatever. Well, it might be changed now. Shoot, I'm old. But it was something like that, right?
Yes. I've heard someone else say that. I can't remember who else said it, but I literally heard that last week, and I was about to say the same thing. I heard that's 20 games
like
is
20
what you
games
need.
is for it's considered not a rookie. So he's going to make the problem is we know he's going to make bonehead plays.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, yes, we know that.
And all players do. Quarterback, especially, the microscope is on them more than any other position in football. It's just the timing of it, the consistency of it is what I think fans are most frustrated with Levis. Is he hasn't seemed to learn from the previous incident into this next one because he did it again in a way that is like you should know better, you know? And I think that's why Callahan snapped. I think that's why the fans are like, let's go a different direction. It's just he's not seemingly learning from the big bonehead mistake. You're going to make them. That's just, we're human. That's nature. You're going to make mistakes. But the big ones like that, he's not seemingly learning from it.
Yeah.
And he's saying the right things, but he hasn't necessarily grown and learned from it in a way that fans visibly can say, oh, yeah, because Will Levis before, he'd have tried to throw that underhand, or he would have taken a knee on that, or he wouldn't have slid on that, whatever it is. And I think once he gets to that narrative change consistently, I think fans will be, not that they still won't have him to a higher level of accountability, but I think they're less likely to say, let's go to Mason Rudolph. Like, they'll be less likely to say that.
But that's why we saw Brian Callahan lose it on him.
Yes.
I think there's a big thing to say about the fans just already being deflated. After that, once they saw the interception, they took them. The Titans gave them a reason to take themselves out of the game.
Yeah,
they became quiet on the radio. Mike Heath I think Mike Heath or Coach Mackey even said something about this kind of being like a Jets atmosphere.
Yeah,
that's not what you want to hear in the third quarter. In the second quarter, you could even and all that kind of stuff. So like, I look at it and I go, how low is everyone's expectation and viewpoint of Will Levis that one play just makes you feel like they're not going to be able to overcome this. Yep. It's over. Even though he brought you back pretty close, but
see, I mean, even after the another underhanded flip, this one was backwards. That cost him at least 3 points. Defense came out 3 and out.
Yeah,
So in that moment, I was like, "Oh, here we go!" But the defense comes out and does what they do.
Yeah, when I was in college, our staff, our coaching staff, they charted sudden change, and how did we win sudden change? And meaning, for a defense, if offense turned the football over, what was the outcome? We held them to 3 points. We fumbled the ball inside our 10. That's a win. Or we got a 3 and out in a situation. We got the ball back for the offense, or we got to turn over ourselves. For the offense, it's like sudden change. You get an interception, you got to take advantage. You go get some points out of it. Or they get an interception, and on our plus 10, we got to punish the other team for it. We got to score. And right now, the sudden change aspect of it, you look at the first 2 weeks, the sudden change aspect of it, the other teams have won, especially in the third and fourth quarters, the second half of the games.
615-737-1045. Adam, next up. Adam, what's up?
It just sucks, man, because I don't trust him, and I wish I did.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing with him right now. I always trusted Mac. There's been a lot of quarterbacks and young quarterbacks, and Levis is still young. I get it, but it's 2 weeks in a row, same playbook, dude. Like I told you last week, he's like Brady of broadcasting. It was the same dang thing this week, dude. Like not only getting the punt blocked like that was a repeat, but like you do another shovel pass. You bound to have listened to us on the radio and how stupid that was, and you're going to try it again, even if it works. Like, it was almost like, gosh, see, guys, I'm going to justify that week one stupid thing. And you deserved to turn it over right there. So I just don't trust him, man. And I don't know what he could do to really earn my trust at this point. I guess win a football game would be the start, but I can't trust that he's going to go out against Green Bay and beat Malik Willis. I just can't do it. And that's crazy to think about, but we could lose to Malik Willis next week.
I think he said what most fans are feeling.
Yeah.
That's it. He said it right there.
When you see those two plays like that, and obviously there's also the pump block element and all this, because I know everybody's focused on Will Levis, but I think there's also the element of, okay, well, pump blocks were a pretty big deal too. So obviously players are making mistakes, but they seem to be singular players.
Yeah.
Does he have to, because he's not a veteran, he's not Aaron Rodgers, he's not Tom Brady, he's not Peyton Manning, does he have to also earn the trust of his coaches now? Does he also have to earn the trust of the fellow teammates, players in the locker room too?
The receivers, yeah, absolutely. I think he's in the most high-profile position in sports, right? The quarterback on a professional team, and so whether you get most of credit and you take most of blame, they don't give receivers win-loss records at the end of their careers, right? He does. They
That's a great point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so they get a lot of credit, a lot of blame.
Yeah.
I think from what the caller was say, I think his name was Adam, was the trust level for fans, because there was so much optimism, not just with the new offense, the new regime, new coordinators, with Levis, because you saw, he came out his first game threw 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
And them beautiful powder blue uniforms looked like, oh, this is the second coming.
Yeah.
And then it just went womp womp after that. And then we're still in that womp womp phase.
Do you see him
that's the problem.
Not letting it rip now?
Almost
like a different guy.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if there's a lack of confidence in not his ability, in what Callahan desires from him compared to his natural instincts are.
They spent so much time in the offseason talking about checkdowns.
Yeah.
So, has that been ingrained in his mind, where he's not just looking to push it down the field like he used to?
I also wonder if there's maybe an element of trust in the offensive line because of the hits that he did take last year. Mm-hmm. And even though this offensive line hasn't been great, it's still better than what he worked behind last year. But I feel like I don't know if defenses are scared of Will Levis.
Not right
and
now.
then they shouldn't be, obviously, but They I think they feel like they can rush 4, they can rush 5, and be okay in coverage because they think they can rattle Will Levis right now until he starts making them pay more often than not, maybe a little bit further down the field, because there are guys that are open maybe 8 or 9 yards, but it's all about that trust. And not only does he need to build up some goodwill and some trust, but he needs to start trusting his playmakers to make plays. He needs to start going back to D-Hop. I mean, I thought the biggest thing that this team could do with no DJ Reed, they have a 5'10" corner on the outside, Brandon Eccles, who was playing on the outside. And I thought, well, this is a match made in heaven. He should be able to go to D-Hop or Calvin Ridley, whoever that however they decide to deploy the defense with the Jets. And I felt like they can get that D-Hop thing back on track. And now listen, maybe these plays that were called, maybe this could be something that we do put a little negative check mark on Brian Callahan. Maybe he's too keen on spreading the ball out instead of getting one guy hot early in the game, so Levis has a little bit of trust, because I thought for sure with D-Hop back, security blankets here, let's go.
I did too. And I think Brent talked about it earlier with Green Bay. Does he outshine Malik Willis? If he doesn't outshine Malik Willis, the phone calls next week are going to be real interesting. And then the next week, we assume it's a Monday night game with Miami. We assume Tua is not going to be out. If Tua is playing, that's a tough out.
There's no way, right?
Yeah.
If he's playing, they better make him wear a Guardian cap. I mean, maybe two Guardian caps.
Lots of guys with concussions now miss at least 2 weeks.
Yeah. Right.
And with him, that's a whole other thing.
But
I wouldn't be surprised if they signed Tannehill and the Titans get Malik Willis and then Tannehill back to back.
But then week 6 is when we need to, after the week 6, we got the bye week, then week 6, this is when we need to evaluate the division and rank the quarterbacks again, because they got the Colts. And those two going head to head, is going to tell whether the Titans win these 2 games against backup quarterbacks against 2 teams that I think people would have put in the playoffs prior to the injuries. Now with the Colts coming in week 6, them 2 going head-to-head, who performs at a better level? Say the Titans do win that and they're both 2-2. Say the Colts win their next 2 and they're 2-2, and they come and they face each other in that week 6 game, and Richardson outperforms him. There's going to be a lot of people like, see, I told you he's not the guy. But what if he does outperform him in that scenario and he has a very good game?
You asked a question earlier. I think the Colts are going to be found to be really bad.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have a defense.
No,
and that's
weird because they usually have.
Yeah,
they should have won today.
They've let their defensive backs just wither and die pretty much. I mean, they tried infusing a lot of youth into it last offseason, but it didn't really work. They haven't had a number 1 corner. They tried to go get L'Jarius Sneed, and they failed on that front, which, again, that's kind of like a Chris Ballard MO. He'd rather develop his young talent and then award the guys. The problem is they haven't developed a cornerback. Yeah. They developed a few safeties, but this defensive backfield for the Indianapolis Colts has gone to trash, which is lucky for the Tennessee Titans because they have the 3 best wide receivers.
Yeah.
Just got to have the quarterback to take advantage of it. He should have taken advantage of the DJ Reed absence, and he just, for whatever reason, it didn't happen.
Yeah, he was going after Gardner today. I was surprised. He made a few plays, but he went after him a few times.
615-737-1045. Michael next up on Titans Talkback, presented by Lee Company. Michael, what's up?
I'd like to preface what I'm about to say with I'm a lifelong Titans supporter. Went to Memphis, went to Vanderbilt, been at the Titans Stadium. So, but Will Levis, I'm not ready to throw him in the garbage, but he is not our franchise quarterback. And I know we've got to live with him till we get this new stadium built and regroup. But the problem I have with Will Levis is his decision making. And you can work on his footwork, but the thing you can't get out of him is his decision making when he's under pressure. And that's not something that the coaching is going to get coached out of him. Now, I do give a little bit of the blame today to the play calling on the coach. We didn't put him in the best situations to be successful. But when the play breaks down, Will Levis plays hero ball. Now, I'm going to say something. I hope you don't cut me off. But there's a segment of the community who feels like we bailed too fast on Malik Willis. I heard it today leaving the stadium for Will Levis. And so we'll get to see Malik Willis next year.
Next week.
Next week.
Yep.
And and I also like to say I'm not a proponent of it. I think Will Levis was a better option than Malik Willis at the time. He read defenses a little better. They had equal arm talent, but the decision making at the time were very similar. And so I kind of feel now about Levis like I did about Willis, which he needs more grooming. And I'm not calling for Rudolph to be put into the lineup because I don't propose to know more than the coaching staff. They're there every day, and if they think Willis gives us the best chance to win, I defer to their wisdom. But I just like to say that Levis is not our franchise quarterback.
All right. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Let's talk about Malik Willis when we come back. And obviously the Packers are coming into Nissan Stadium next week. That means Malik Willis, I guess, will start at quarterback for Green Bay. How much of an advantage is that for the Titans D, having seen him for so long every day in practice? I'm going to ask you, Dice, next when we come back. This is Lee Company, Titans Talkback. Lee Company, All you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. Sunday Night Football coming up at 6:30. Westwood won a coverage of the Chicago Bears at the Houston Texans. Texans favored by 5.5. Is that enough for y'all? 5.5.
Recent?
You think the Bears are going to get housed?
I think so.
I wouldn't, I'm not suggesting anybody take my bet, but I put a bet out on FanDuel, Houston defensive touchdown, anytime touchdown.
Okay.
I also have a lot of Houston Texans fantasy football team stock as well for the defense. As my team defense a lot because they have a really easy, good schedule. So
I went Bears plus 6.5. It is now down to 5.5. So I went against y'all.
I think you'll regret that.
Well, when you make enough bets, that's just one.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. The Higginbotham right call of the game we'll get to. Higginbotham can be your business teammate by helping manage your risks, limit your liability, put a plan of action in place, and control your costs. Insurance plans for your company and your assets. It's all online at higginbotham.com. The jet sweep to Ridley for 10 yards.
And
that dude was moving around the edge.
Yeah, he was. In a man-on-man coverage. Sauce was following him.
It's funny, like we were talking about this with him during training camp. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't have like the fastest 40 time out there. You know what I mean? Like he's a 4.5 type guy.
Yeah.
But man, he gets to that speed quickly.
Yeah, his first step is as fast as anybody in the league. He gets off the ball. He's explosive.
You get him on a crossing route in man-to-man coverage?
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, Sauce Gardner can't even keep up with him.
Yeah.
Dude's fast. I mean, it's just incredible.
Well, Jerry Rice wasn't a fast 40 guy either, but you never saw him get caught from behind.
That's true.
Never.
He ran a 4.61, I think.
Yeah, it was in the 4.6s.
Yeah.
Yep.
And look, he just was fast with his pads on. I think Michael Irvin was the same way. He wasn't a 4.3 guy, but you never seen anybody catch him either.
Somebody in this room ran a 4.31. It wasn't me or Zach.
It definitely was not me.
Shockingly.
I'm surprised. Y'all didn't run a 4.3?
No. So when the draft was here in 2019, we went, me and two of my friends that do the podcast with me, Mike and Keith, we went and did the 40. We all ran the 40 at the same time. They had it. And I got out of my stance, and I just start, head over my feet, fall, and I just bust in front of everybody watch it. Like, I just skid across the grass and everything. It was terrible. So I am not fast at all.
That's pretty embarrassing.
I have jumps. That's about it. Got ups.
But wait, what?
Yeah, I got ups.
You do?
Yeah. I can do a toe touch that looks pretty good.
That's impressive.
Yeah. I can't remember what my vertical was, but Mike and Keith, they're both like 6'3" plus. I think Mike is like 6'7", and I out jumped both of them in the vertical jump.
This is amazing. We might have to set something up on TikTok.
Yeah. I can do a good toe touch.
Zach's vertical ability.
Dang, that's impressive. I want to
listen, this was also 2019. 2019 Zach is a lot younger than 2024 Zach.
I will say this. We did a show from D1 one time, and they set up, opportunities for listeners to come out and train with them and do some of these events and all these things. So we did the 40, and they were coaching us, and they're like, you got to lean forward. So same thing. I get to the end, and I think in my head I'm flying. For me, I was. But I was leaning so far in front of myself that I went head over heels across the finish line.
Yeah.
And then Clay Travis
At least you went over the finish line. Yeah. I didn't even make it out of the gate.
Clay Travis was on 3HL at that point, and he ran it, and he pulled his quad, and it curled up on his, you could see it on his leg. It was disgusting.
Yep.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Stick to the golf course.
Yeah. No, you don't want him to do that either. Lee Company, all you need. Visit Lee Company online at leecompany.com. 615-737-1045. We will be here until 6:30, letting you vent your opportunity. Titans 0-2. They'll play the Packers next Sunday. I mentioned to you, Dice, that I was going to bring this up. Previous caller talking about Malik Willis. Malik Willis, I guess, will come in and start. He played today and played well. 12 of 14. Ran for 41 yards as well. So 12 of 14, 122 yards and a touchdown, 6 carries, 41 yards. Malik Willis coming into Nashville. He will get to start a game in Nissan Stadium for another team, for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Does it help the Titans' defense and staff and players having gone against him so much in practice?
But it's a different staff, right? Because most of this offseason has been implementation. And going against your own offense, which he was still learning.
Good.
Yeah, in which he was still learning. So to learn, they don't necessarily know his tendencies. As, say, this was Vrabel and his staff was going against him, then there would be a difference. There would be some coverage and some different things that I think they would do to try to bait him. I'm not sure how much they know about him this as a player other than what he's put on film. I'm not sure because at practice they were just running their coverages. Did he struggle with that at practice? If so, then we're going to see a little bit of wherever that was, I'm sure. Again, the offense is a little bit different, especially if you got a running back running for 150 yards. That makes every quarterback job a lot easier. Now, we don't think that's going to happen with the time Josh Jacobs not going to run for 150, but that makes it a little different. He only had to throw 14 times today, and he was highly successful. So,
I mean, to be honest, Breece Hall was 13 for 32 before he ripped off that 30-yard run, and Braylon Allen had 33 yards on 7 carries. Well, one of those was the 20-yard run where Amani Hooker took a bad angle. So, I mean, you're right. To rely on Josh Jacobs like they did to win this game, and also how much of the playbook are they going to open up for Malik Willis is a big question because it was a very kind of rudimentary offense. He's only been over there since for now, I guess you would say 3 weeks total.
Yeah.
So you don't have probably a lot of the offensive playbook opened up for Malik Willis. Do they now maybe overestimate what they saw and think, okay, let's add a few more playbooks? And does that really help Malik Willis if you open up the playbook?
And he does possess some skills that Jordan Love doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He
can run.
He can run a little bit, and that's any quarterback. That's what Lamar Jackson has lived off of, is the fear of his ability to run. Michael Vick was the same way. I'm not saying he's in that same category, but it changes according to his philosophy a lot.
And he looked better running the ball this year than he has any of the previous 2 years as far as in the preseason.
In the preseason.
He looked really good. And my other question would be for you is, like, how important is it going to be for Arden Key and Harold Landry to set the edge? Because they're going to go up the middle.
Exactly.
And you want Malik Willis out on the run. You want him out on the edges. But that could be an issue for Arden Key. That could be an issue for Harold Landry just because of how athletic he has looked so far this year.
Yeah, and typically the coordinators will tell you your rush depth don't go past the quarterback.
Gotcha.
So you don't create that run, that lane to run through right underneath so he can escape.
Cage rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's typical, but that's Lamar Jackson level. Hutley, as his backup at that time, got kind of that same accommodations, if you will, I guess. Will Malik get that same kind of, let's not get too far up, keep everything in front of him?
I think the Titans are going to take away Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs today, 32 carries,
and
100.
Make Malik beat him.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
32 carries, 151 yards. I think the Colts are bad, to Zach's point earlier about their defense. But there's no way the Packers are coming in with that game plan against the Titans and having success.
I mean, they still held Aaron Rodgers to 176 yards, and at the first half, he only had like 80 yards passing. So he beat him on a few throws, and they were crucial key throws. But that's Aaron Rodgers. This pass defense is still very good. I know the Tennessee Titans lost a game, and I know there were a couple of big plays. And I'm sure that maybe this second half rushing attack, these two big long runs, has people questioning, well, is the defense really that good? I still think the defense is really dang good, and I don't think this game should change your opinion. If you thought it was impressive that they held a team to 150 yards total offense last week, which is impressive for any team, no matter who the quarterback is. I mean, even Bryce Young, I think, got 200-something yards today. I mean, the Carolina Panthers did. And he may be the worst quarterback in the NFL right now. And you're talking about 277 yards of total offense is not that. That's pretty good for an Aaron Rodgers-led offense.
Yeah, I agree.
So I would cool your jets if you're down on the Tennessee Titans. That's why I like them in the game next week, not because of Will Levis, not because I think the offense takes some gigantic leap.
No, Packers are one-dimensional.
It's the defense. Yeah. It's the defense.
615-737-1045.
We'll
Mo.
probably be saying that a lot.
Next up, Mo, what's up?
Yeah, I just wanted to say this real quick. I'm not going to take long, but our defense is great. I think it's amazing. I feel like we can arguably put ourselves up there as the best defense in the league as of 2 weeks. I feel like everybody should just chill out on Will Levis. I already know what it's going to sound like tomorrow on 102.5 The Game, on 104.5 The Zone. Everybody's going to freak out over Will Levis. Like, first, it's only been 2 weeks. Will Levis is a young quarterback. And I just feel like everybody should just take a chill pill and just chill.
we have a long season to go. And I feel like with all of this backlash that Will Levis is going to get to his head, and everybody is going to, and he's just going to perform badly. You could just see how he was at the podium today, like after the game. Like he didn't seem like himself, like his confident self. Yes, they lost the game, but he's not usually like that. I feel like everybody should just chill out and give this man a break. It's football. I get it.
Thank you, Mo. Appreciate it.
Well, I also would like to say something. What is freaking out about objectively critiquing Will Levis? Which I think we do on this station. I don't know what they do on the other station.
Well, I mean, the other thing is, we're talking about sports, man. It's an emotional thing. People get fired up. I mean, I completely understand it. I'm more of Mo's personality type where, I'm a little more reserved about it. But, I mean, we do what we do because of people getting emotional about sports. You know what I mean?
Well, and also we have to play. What else are we going to talk about other than the teams, the NFL teams of the city that we are in? The quarterback or any player that plays bad for the team. But the quarterback, like you said, gets the most pressure of anybody, good or bad, that's quarterback record, right? QB wins is not a stat for me, but I know that people call it QB wins. They don't call it wide receiver wins, like you said. So this is something that you have to talk about. Now, I know that there are going to be, people are probably still freaking out up in New York about Aaron Rodgers' performance. I mean, it wasn't anything to write home about. No. I'm sure.
Look what they've had to base their off of Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Anything better than that, they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. That is true. Real quick, based on statistics, out of all of the teams that have played 2 games, the Titans are number 7 against the run, number 2 against the pass, number 1 in total defense so far. Now, there are teams playing right now. Pittsburgh Steelers are up there, so we'll see what they do against Denver, which they should limit their yardage, I would think. But we've got more Titans Talk Back coming up. We've got 2 more segments. We'll be here until 6:30 for you. If you want in, 615-737-1045. Lee Company Titans Talk Back. The Titans trust their home stadium to Lee Company to tackle their HVAC, plumbing, and electrical problems. They can protect your home, too. Your next play, visit LeeCompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Lee Company Titans Talkback. Brent Dougherty, Zach Lyons, Dr. Kevin Dyson. We've got you until 6:30. Again, the Zone will be all over it tomorrow, starting with Arcade Dub 6 to 10 weekday mornings on 104.5 The Zone, followed by.
I'm calling for everybody to be fired tomorrow.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Overreaction Monday.
Yeah. Then we've got Buck Rising and Lucas 10 to 1. You and Blaine from 1 to 3.
There it is.
Gotta sound good. You having fun?
Oh, I'm having a blast. It's great.
It's a great time of year to start. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, hey, listen.
Football season.
That was well done by Paul Mason.
Hey, from doing the podcast, I know losses drive up ratings for whatever.
People gotta say what they gotta say.
They just gotta vent, and I'm okay with that.
The Kellum stem cell play from autism to arthritis, your body, your cells, your solution. Call 615-850-4415 for your consultation. And Ron Slay certainly will tell you all about them. Kellum Science behind the stat. So the 40-yard touchdown pass to Ridley traveled 51.6 air yards from Will Levis. That is the Kellum Science behind the stat. And we've got you covered again all day tomorrow. So tune in 3HL 3 to 6. I stopped with you guys, but certainly need to let y'all know that me, Slay, and Dawn Davenport will be on the air from 3 until 6. And we'll do all of this with you guys tomorrow. Thank you for all the participation. All lines have been loaded the entire time that we have been on the air today. We appreciate that and appreciate your patience as we try to work through everyone. We will talk about in about 15 minutes, the matchup with the Packers in more detail as the Titans try to get that first win next Sunday. 615-737-1045. James next up on Titans Talkback. James, what's up?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
I do think the Titans are going to win next week. I don't know if it'll be pretty, but I'm optimistic. I do have a question, but before I get to that, I want to say it's just so nice to see the Titans quarterbacks actually challenging receivers, not giving them cushions all game long and just letting them catch the underneath route all game long. But it's so nice. My question is really for Dyson. I think, Traylon Burks, it seems like all we do is throw to the sky on these, go routes, these jump balls, and it hardly ever works out, or we do this end-around stuff for maybe 2 or 3 yards. Do they try to do anything with him like a traditional receiver might do, slants and ins and outs, Do they do anything different? And when they do that, does he get open? I can't recall anything like that for him. That's all.
To his point, first of all, that's a great point about this season. But with Traylon, I don't know. I don't know how people are trying to use him. I have said since he got here, people try to compare him to A.J. Brown because of his stature and his things of that nature. But that's not him. He was more closely relatable to Anquan Bolden, in my opinion. And that's nothing to sniff at. Anquan had a great career in the National Football League, being a guy that was able to catch hitches, break a couple tackles, and turn a 7-yard play into a 15, 20-yard play. Catch vertical seams, take the hit from the safety. That was Anquan Bolden. And I saw Traylon in more of that mold as a physical, bigger, wider body type guy than a quote-unquote vertical threat. And I feel like he has been, at times, been asked to produce on these 50-50 balls, and it's been fewer than he's been able to complete. So I don't know. I'm kind of with him. I'm thinking we got to find a way to utilize. To me, his skill set was get the ball in his hands, and maybe that's why they do the reverses too. But to me, it's getting the ball in his hands and let him break a couple tackles, extend a drive. Why are we trying to throw him the 45-yard pass? Now, we did a little bit something to Ridley today, which is definitely needed, but yeah.
Well, I mean, we saw at one of the first plays of the game, Burks doing a traditional route, like the caller was asking if he's ever done one. And while there was a hold somewhere else on the field, the ball went straight at his feet. So, the one of the few times that Burks does, quote unquote, a traditional route, the quarterback just plain misses him. Yeah. And listen, he had a beat on his guy, so he probably could have got some yards after the catch. We don't know how far he would have gotten or anything. But I'm kind of, he doesn't have that mentality that Anquan Bolden has. I see what you're saying.
I completely agree with that.
I know you agree with me, but because he just doesn't have that, I guess, dog in him. I mean, there's just, it's a little cat. I feel like he's just a little timid kitten out there sometimes, and he's not playing. He's a big guy. That guy is huge. He's massive. He's strong. He's muscular. He's fast. He's everything you want in a wide receiver.
You don't really realize it unless you go stand next to him.
Yeah.
When you do, you're like, oh man, this dude is huge. By the way, Anquan Bolden, guess who drafted him?
Well, Tyke Tolbert.
Coach Mack.
Oh, well, Coach Mack. Oh, there you go.
Coach Mack.
Yeah.
Anquan Bolden's first game, I saw the other day, they I don't know why they put this out there, but 217 yards his first game.
Like, if Tyke Tolbert can't get the mentality that is needed for Traylon Burks to succeed out of him, I don't think anybody can.
Yeah.
And listen, I have a bet with Blaine that is down to Traylon Burks and NWI, who has the better season. And I'm willing to give up that dinner if they'll play NWI more. Like, I'm willing to pay, for him and his wife, to have dinner and everything if they use NWI more. Because I think almost maybe because someone asked, does NWI make that catch?
That's what I'm saying. Now, NWI is more the 50-50 ball guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the one you feel like, if you're going to throw that one up, that's the one. I love NWI. Y'all know I.
Yeah. To me, it's a bad decision. Like, that play is so many things went wrong on the play. I think the initial decision to even throw it that deep to a guy in double coverage, then underthrow it, and then it's Traylon Burks on the route. Like, there's just a whole mess of things that did not go right on that play. Yeah. Will Levis, Traylon Burks being the main two. You call it a 50-50 ball. That was a 50-50 play, a blame play.
He doesn't have great timing with that right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's been several occasions, I'm trying to remember another one, but several occasions when he's had opportunities for that ball and he hasn't produced. And not to say every time it's been a pick, but it's one of those ones where they keep going to the same well at some point. That's the definition of insanity, isn't it?
I think there's too much Burks right now.
Yeah.
615-737-1045. Don't let Slay in here to hear this conversation. Seth, next up.
He has beauty in him. I'm waiting to see it.
Seth, what's up?
Yo, what up, guys? Thanks for taking my call.
Yep.
Love the show.
Thank you.
I'm glass half full right now. I feel better about this loss, as weird as that sounds, versus the Bears.
Yeah, I agree.
Dyson and I were just talking about that during the break, that they were better today.
Yeah.
Which sounds
even after the grandma pass.
Yeah.
Even after the grandma pass, they could have just threw it in like they did last week, done plays, but they came back, and the fact that Willis took us down the field to ended up trying to tie it and go into overtime. Kudos to him. Yeah, he had some ding dong plays, but hey, I'm not throwing in the towel. Let's turn the page to Green Bay.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought he did better. I mean, it sounds crazy to say that with the grandma passes, he said.
Yeah.
But in terms of like his execution and being pocket aware, I thought he was better today.
And
that's tough to do 1 week.
If I know Blaine very well, he might bring this up, but why not?
You do know Blaine very well.
Why not put him in those situations early in the game? Why not go no HUD offense? We said the same thing about Mariota.
Yep.
Mariota's production went up when he didn't have to think mentality, I guess is what it is. You just, in that 2-minute offense scenario, you just got to move the ball. He looked great.
Yep. He did it before the half. That's how they got the field goal.
Yeah.
They almost go down there, and it's like you don't want him in the red zone. You want him to make plays outside of the red zone. Like, it's kind of weird, but I mean, again, there's stuff to build on. And last week, it felt a lot worse because you're kind of looking and you're like, oh, man, they got a long way to go. I don't know if they got anything to build on. Here, you at least have some positives you could take away, some encouragement you can throw his way.
But, man, that backwards pass again. Like, how in the hell does that keep happening?
I just don't get it.
Seriously. I mean, that got coached out of him all week, and he did it again.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Some things
That's why the coach flipped.
Yeah, it's in you. It's his instincts, right? He's a guy he's trying to make plays, and you don't. It's like that dude who got that corny lines trying to pick up a girl. Mm-hmm. He only keeps saying them lines because it worked before.
Yeah.
Right?
Your legs look tired.
Yeah.
Running through my mind all night.
It had to work before to get to this, or else you won't keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where this type of stuff has worked out for him in the past.
That's a great analogy.
He's got to be able to overcome that and say, I got to be smarter and not put my team in situations where they got to recover for me.
When we come back, the Eurofix look ahead. We'll talk about the Titans and the Packers coming up next Sunday. We'll do that next. Stay tuned. This is Lee Company, Titans Talkback. The Eurofix look ahead. Now we look ahead to next week's opponent in the look ahead presented by Eurofix. Let me remind you that Eurofix repairs everything European that you drive and below dealer pricing. ASE certified technicians, a local company that has serviced Middle Tennessee for more than 2 decades. Visit EurofixOnline.com. Next week, the Titans host the Green Bay Packers. Malik Willis and the Green Bay Packers. What do you think about that matchup, boys?
I like it. I mean, I think it does favor the Tennessee Titans, and as I forget to turn on my mic at the very beginning, so thank you, Jackson, on that.
Hard to do this job without it.
Yeah.
I do it too, though.
You know, I look at it and I think how well the defense matches up with this offense. Like the Tennessee Titans defense against this Green Bay Packers offense without Jordan Love there is that the cornerbacks, and this is a matchup that we'll probably talk about for a while, is that the cornerbacks, like every week, is probably going to have a favorable matchup that favors them because they are all three are just so good. I mean, even Roger McCreary He was like a couple inches away from making 2 big stops in the back of the backfield today. So, I mean, that's a guy they're sending into the backfield. He's diagnosing really quick.
3 tackles for a loss last week.
Yeah.
I know he had at least 1 today.
So, I mean, that's another guy right there. And listen, Jaden Reed for the Green Bay Packers, he's a guy that they'll probably get involved in multiple ways to limit when a quarterback like Malik comes in, that's a backup quarterback that's not experienced with the playbook. The Green Bay, or the typical offensive thing to do is to get other players the ball really quick, whether it's end arounds or be creative with it.
They got the ball out of his hand quickly.
And Jaden Reed is that guy. So to me, Christian Watson is okay. He's probably an NFL average wide receiver. He's got all the talent in the world, but he has problems staying healthy, his consistency issues. So like L'Jarius Sneed, Cheeto, Roger McCreary, as long as they play sound football, which they have proven to do now through 2 weeks, they're going to have a great matchup, and that's the advantage that the Tennessee Titans have.
If I'm hearing you right, they don't have Devontae Adams over there, so they don't have anybody over there that really scares you.
No, it's Dobbs, Christian Watson, and Jaden Reed.
And they're all good in their own right.
They're solid players,
but not like that.
They're not like Jeffries and all them. They're not to that elite level right now. They're good football players, right? Because they wouldn't be if they weren't on this roster. And I think that's going to be interesting as you brought that group up. And again, I think you and Blaine will hash this out a little bit more. It makes a difference when you have a pass rush. Even Dion relied on a pass rush, right? And if you have a pass rush with a quarterback who they are, to your point earlier, familiar with, do you take some chances early where we can play some one-on-one ball with these receivers? And it'd be interesting to see how they generate some turnovers, maybe some field position, maybe some things that they can help Will Levis with. If I'm able to get a pick in plus territory, shorten that field for Will Levis, then we can get ourselves some cushion. If you give us some cushion and make Malik Willis have to beat you from behind, that just, to me, bodes well for the Titans and this aggressive style defense that they have, and especially this pass rush and this front seven that has gotten exponentially better as well, as you mentioned, Zach, as far as the coverage has been solid. So this is a good, I think, Brent, you've been saying that from the jump about winning these next 2. This is a prime opportunity with a backup quarterback, not only backup quarterback that has some familiarity with the organization. Now,
I mean, a number 3 quarterback.
And he's motivated, though. Yeah, this is that. Sure. I've been there. You want to beat your former team, right? But the Titans are, I don't want to say desperate, but hungry for a win. They honestly are a few possessions away from being 2-0. Right now.
Right. I mean, they played clean game against Chicago. They win that one easily.
Yep. Couple possessions here or there against the Jets, and they win this one. So it's going to be interesting to see how they attack.
Life is tough in the NFL. I mean, the Ravens are 0-2.
Yeah.
For crying out loud.
And they were a lot of people's picking the AFC this year.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs, 32 carries, 151 yards for the Packers today as they beat the Colts 16-10. No way. Malik Willis, 12 of 14, 122 yards. And a touchdown, 6 carries, 41 yards. So what that tells you is, and I watched a little bit of that game, they were getting the ball out of his hands quickly and very scripted. So 12 completions for 122, that's 10 yards a catch. So, not pushing the ball down the field.
No.
I mean, it'll be a good environment in Nissan Stadium. Make sure you go see Slay and see Wiz. 9 to noon at the Bridge Building.
At the Bridge Building.
Yeah.
The VIP party. 615-737-1045. Alex next up on Lead Company Titans Talkback. Alex, what's up?
To be an elite level team in the NFL today, you've got to have an elite level quarterback.
Yep.
And the elite level quarterbacks are cerebral quarterbacks. They know situational football. They know to dump the ball off. Today we had 5 3-and-outs. I think Levis threw for 127 last week and under 200 today. It's not like he's throwing for 350 yards, marching up and down the field, and then making some silly mistake. We're not even moving the football. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be an elite-level team until we actually get an elite-level quarterback, and unfortunately, I don't think Will Levis is the guy.
Will Levis, 19 of 28, 192 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Quarterback rating of 84.2. coming off of last week's 52.5.
I mean, and a good completion percentage, 67.9% completion percentage. I mean, that's a lot better than what it was last week.
Yeah. I know we got one more call to get to, but the example I'm going to give right now is I want fans to hold on to. He was traded from one franchise to another. That quarterback he was traded for ends up winning a Super Bowl in his city that he was drafted to, and now people are putting him in that elite level status, Jared Goff. Right?
Yeah.
And it's all about fit, expectation, trust, confidence.
It took a while for him, but
that's my point, right?
He's there. Yep.
People are ready to run him out of Dodge, ready to run him out of everywhere. He gets traded, and now look at him. He's comfortable. He's confident. He's taking a franchise that was in obscurity to relevance to a lot of people's pick in the NFC this year. So I'm not saying that Will Levis is there yet. What I'm saying is sometimes it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, I think that's like the silver lining to all of this is that you can, and maybe some people would probably call it cope, and all that kind of stuff. But like, it is early. Mm-hmm. We discussed that we should have looked it up during the break, but the 20th start is when you're not a rookie anymore, is when you should see some kind of progress being made towards the end of the 20th start. We're not even there yet. But at the end of the day, you got two matchups theoretically right now. One, for sure you're getting Malik Willis. The next one, you're probably getting Skyler. Maybe you get Ryan Tannehill, but I don't think Ryan Tannehill comes out of, not retirement, but he doesn't come out and just for 3 weeks. He's coming out for the rest of the season kind of opportunity. Yeah. And maybe that happens for Tua and something changes. But so at the end of the day, you should be able to win these two games. Mm-hmm. And you should be able to win those two games without Will Levis feeling like he has to win these two games.
Yeah.
The team can win these two games, and they just got to calm him down and let him realize that the other part of the equation is just trusting your playmakers and get them the ball. Yeah. By
the way, Bengals lead the Chiefs 25-23. Chiefs just had a 4th and 16. They throw it down the field, pass interference. Yeah. So first down at the 35-yard line, and Macy Harrison Butker here in a second. Trey in Nashville. Trey, what's up?
Hey, how y'all doing, guys?
Hey, good, Trey, man.
Good. Hey, I just I'm gonna be optimistic when it comes to Will Levis. I know, I call the shows all the time. I'm real hard on him, but I think that it can get better. I don't know how soon enough it'll get better. And I don't know if Coach has the patience to wait on him to get better. And, it's hard for a coach to just go off on you, after you make the same mistake twice in 2 weeks. So, maybe his leash is a little bit short. And what y'all think?
As a former player, thank you, Trey. As a former player, were you surprised to see the coach go after him for making the same mistake that he just did last week?
No. Not yet. Not right now. Not right now. Now, if this was year 7 and this situation was the same, like he's the first-year head coach with this team, yes, a little bit. I would be, because this is a quarterback who's been in the league for a long time. But this is a young quarterback that he's trying to mold into, I'll just say, into the fashion of Joe Burrow, a guy that can produce, make plays, not turn the ball over consistently. Even then, interceptions are going to happen in this league. You got to take shots. The 50-50 ball, for example, sometimes you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. However, the plays that you absolutely can have, the ones you have in control of. He didn't absolutely have to not try to flip that ball last week in Chicago, and he didn't have to try to flip that ball again this week. He didn't have to.
That frustration from Brian Callahan came from conversations all week about, man, live to fight another day.
Yeah, he wants to
live tonight, fight another day.
Every day.
You saw how disappointed he was, like on Monday. Like after he went and watched the film, it was a lot worse. I don't think he'll have that feeling after he watches the film, this go around. I think he'll be mad that there was just hiccups, but I think that you did see certain areas of growth. I mean, you talk about quarterbacks have bad games all the time. Patrick Mahomes, 151 yards right now, passing 2 interceptions. He, of course, has 2 touchdowns, and his team's in a position to win the game because that's Patrick Mahomes.
They just won.
Will Levis did have his team in position to win and, just couldn't close the deal. Yeah. And this is, his 10th full game. Full game because he played that one game. He got injured after like 10 snaps. But
you were right on that play that Orlovsky put out. Wide open receiver.
Yeah, wide open.
Could have tied the game. Butker just hit a 51-yard field goal. Kansas City beats Cincinnati 26-25. So Lamar Jackson's 0-2. Joe Burrow's 0-2. I mean, it's hard in this league, man.
But I'm telling you who's not 0-2. Mr. Allen over there in Buffalo.
Yep.
Man, that's a hard team to figure out, too, because they're winning in a different way than they have in his career.
He was my MVP pick this year, man. Josh Allen.
I heard you and Blaine talking about that, transitioning from Blaine and Zach to 3HL, and Blaine goes, now show me these numbers you got that show you that.
I just said it's just his gut feeling. I said without Stephon Diggs, he's going to have to play a better brand of football than he has had to in the past.
But it's like 200 yards passing or 190 as opposed to 340 and run for 8.
Hey, and he's spreading the ball around. He's spreading the ball around for Stephon.
Yep. So. Titans radio coverage is produced by Philip Noel and Brad Willis. Studio producer, Jackson Williams. Thank you, Jackson. Scoreboard producer, Lucas Panzica. Network producer, Joseph Bonanno. We call him Zeph on 3HL. Promotions director, Rich Ferris. Director of sales, Hunter Rice. General manager, actually market manager, Allison Warren. Operations manager, Paul Mason. And the executive producer is Rhett Bryan. Again, the Titans fall today to the New York Jets 24-17. Catch all the analysis and reaction all day long Monday on 104.5 The Zone. Beginning with RK Dub from 6 to 10. The Buck Rising Show with Buck and Lucas from 10 to 1. Blaine and Zach take over at 1. Roll into 3HL at 3. We'll carry you home from there with 3HL on 104.5 The Zone. For Zach Lyons and Dr. Kevin Dyson, I'm Brent Dougherty. Sunday Night Football is next. It is Chicago at Houston right here on 104.5 The Zone.